During talks with his Australian counterpart, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar clarified that India will not disclose how it will vote at the UN General Assembly on an anticipated draft resolution to condemn Russia's self-proclaimed annexation of 4 regions in Ukraine. The General Assembly is due to vote on the draft resolution later this week.
As a matter of prudence and policy, we don't predict our votes in advance. Having said that, you also know that we have been very clearly against the conflict in Ukraine. We believe that this conflict does not serve the interests of anybody, neither the participants nor indeed of the international community. As a country of the global south, we have been seeing firsthand how much it has impacted low-income countries, the challenges that they are facing in terms of fuel and food and fertilizers.
Jaishankar is currently in Canberra, where he held wide-ranging talks with his Australian counterpart, Penny Wong. These comments were made post the 13th India-Australia Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue. During the meeting, the war in Ukraine and its fallout and repercussions on the Indo-Pacific were discussed. In his remarks, Dr. Jaishankar reiterated India's stance on the war in Ukraine, emphasizing that India was opposed to the conflict and promoted dialogue and diplomacy. India's purchase of Russian oil and abstention on several occasions has not gone down too well with the West. In his latest remarks, Jaishankar has reaffirmed India's ties with Russia, saying that India will not abandon Russia, which has been a reliable ally. Jaishankar said, and I quote, "We have a long-standing relationship with Russia. This relationship has served our interests well. We have a substantial inventory of Soviet and Russian origin weapons. The inventory grew for various reasons, including the West not supplying weapons to India for decades and, in fact, seeing the military dictatorship next to us as a preferred partner. In international politics, we make judgments which are reflective of our future interests and the current situation." For more, we have WION's principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibul, reporting from New Delhi.
In Australia, standing alongside the Australian Foreign Minister, the Indian External Affairs Minister has reiterated New Delhi's long-standing policy in terms of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Of course, he mentioned the word, it serves no purpose, but diplomacy and dialogue is something that India has been saying for a long time to resolve the conflict. But largely comments coming even as Ukraine today saw strikes by Russia in the aftermath of the bombing of the bridge that connects Russia with Crimea. Now, we know that the comments also come at a time when the United Nations General Assembly will be holding a vote on the conflict and the Russian referendums in Ukraine. We know that in the past, India has abstained from various votes regarding the conflict. In fact, the Indian External Affairs Minister also said that he, of course, is not going to comment on that. But largely, we know that India's biggest worry from the conflict is the impact on the food and fuel prices. We know that the food and fuel prices have globally escalated, impacting the global south. And the biggest worry for India and the countries of the global south is the escalating prices. But nonetheless, as the war drags on, this is something that's going to not only impact the global geopolitics, but the relationship countries have with each other. With video journalist Sanjeet Siddhant Sibul for WION in New Delhi.